I also want to talk about wellness and health because I know you've been paying a lot of attention to that. That was a big mission for you when you were in the White House. And for the first time at Essence, they have a wellness activation, the first time.
Excellent.
Called
Excellent.
the Wellness House.
Yeah.
And one of the activations, Michelle, is get fit, get checked, and get moving.
Yes.
A message that was so important to you. Why was it so important for you to, because, you know, I look at you and they say, you wanted to make us healthier, you wanted us to eat better, and you wanted us to exercise. You hussy telling us what to do.
I know.
Why was that so important to you?
Well, because food and diet and lifestyle is very personal, you know, and I think people, it's hard to break habits that have been developed over a lifetime. And one of the reasons I took that issue on is because I saw very early on that we are dealing with an obesity epidemic in our children that will shorten their lives. I mean, this is one of those, like, it's a fact. You know, our children are growing up less healthy than we are, which means that their life expectancy will be shorter than us. That is just a for real thing. So I started with kids because my hope was that sometimes as parents, we can do for our kids what we just can't find, you know, in us to do for ourselves. And I know as a mother, when it comes to me trying to make sure that my kids have the best, I will kill somebody to make sure that my children have what they need. So starting with young people was a way to kind of ease into the conversation, but it's a challenge that we all face.
And look what you did with the lunch program. You said about the proper milk, which now the USDA has changed the rules. They can now drink flavored milk, chocolate and strawberry. Yeah. It's okay to have refined grains. It's okay, they've changed the sodium levels. All the things you implemented that pediatricians and nutritionists said was working.
Right.
That's now been overturned.
Well, because food is a money industry. You know, that's just the bottom line. This is really about money. There are people who are advertising right now who don't care about your kids' health if their profit margins are good. So here's what we have to do is that we have to own our health. I mean, it's one of these things that no one can take from you. You know, no matter what your race, your socioeconomic background, your educational level, we all have the ability to own our health. But so many of us don't know how. We don't have the resources. We don't have grocery stores in our communities. We don't have access. You know, our kids aren't living in safe neighborhoods where they can play outside. So much in our lives have changed.
I've heard you say you almost became defiant about making sure that your health was good.
Well, for me, with health, it was one of those things, and a lot of mothers will understand this because I found myself looking around after I had my kids, and I didn't have time for me, but my husband was at the gym like every day. And I was like, well, how are you going to the gym? And he was like, I make time for the gym. I was like, what? You know? And this was right when we started going to counseling, y'all. So this was one of our issues, you know. But I found myself getting mad at him because he was doing what he needed to do for him. And I think for us as women, many of us, we have a hard time putting ourselves on our own priority list, let alone at the top of it. And that's what happens when it comes to our health as women. We are so busy giving and doing for others that we almost feel guilty to take that time out for ourselves.
But we're sort of trained that way.
Yes, we are trained that way, and we have to have a different set of conversations to untrain us. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, but if we don't start having conversations about this as women, because forget what anyone says, we still control what happens in the household. So if we don't have our act together as women, as mothers, as grandmothers, we still aren't going to be able to get our kids on track.
Yes.
So we have to start having some conversations, number one, about why is it so hard for us as women to put ourselves first. I mean, we're living in a world where we as women, we are so devalued. We have trained ourselves to think we don't deserve it, that we don't even deserve to take care of ourselves. And we have to kind of search our minds and our histories and our backgrounds to find out where that hurt comes from. We know we see it out there in the culture because we don't see ourselves. You know, we see people imitating us, but not giving us credit for the beauty that we hold.